What a great day to notice stuff. Yeah. Well, I got to be outside to start noticing stuff outside. So here I am. Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm outside and I'm noticing stuff. Yeah. There is so much happening in the spring. And now, if you've been watching, you know that I've had an unusual amount of snow for this time of year. And there's still some spots down there. Yeah, there's still snow down there. But here on top of the hill, a little more dry, a little more warm. So what I'm noticing for the first time, I'm so very excited. We're getting some of our perennials coming up. Just the first frondins, if you will. All right, that's the immersion. That's a bud burst, if you will. Immersion of leaves coming out of the soil. And one of the most exciting things here is, right, we're getting some of the trilliums coming up, and the trout lilies, and the spring beauties coming up there. They'll be the first ones to flower before the trout lilies, or even before the there's another trillium ready to come up. But if you look over there, Indiana, yeah, we're starting to get the ramps, otherwise known as leeks. Yeah, so that's what our family's looking forward to. Yeah, that they're just started. Well, they're maybe not even halfway, but it's a start. Yeah, spring is in the air. All right, we notice that the birds are coming together, starting to nest. Had ducks up on the lawn, cleaning up an entire winter's worth of seed. Yeah, wildlife's moving around. I think we're a good week or two away from a really good bud burst. But believe it or not, it's still a couple degrees below freezing this morning. Might be one of the last of those, April frosts, but here we are. Amazing thing about walking this time of year is that you can just see forever. Yeah, there's the ability to just take a look, and I've watched deer bound away from Indiana for a good couple minutes. All right, we'll see the turkeys move on long before. All right, so for prey animals, yeah, they can see us, hear us, smell us long before we get there. And for the carnivores chasing them, yeah, they can use the wind, and they can use a vista, little top, to look far and wide, sort of plan their strategies as they move around and navigate animal patterns, feeding patterns, bedding patterns. Yeah, it's an interesting time of year, but it'll be short-lived. In a couple weeks, this forest will be thick, not only with green leaves, but with blackflies and mosquitoes. So this is the time. If I want to wander, if I really want to explore, this is other than the dead of winter, when I can cross the ice and really cover some terrain, a little more comfortable in the warmth. There's a sweet spot, a couple weeks in April, where I'll really be able to get out and cover some terrain, take a look at what effect winter has had on the forest. Sometimes the trail is not as easy to find, as it's got new trees across and new branches, but Indiana's pretty good at staying on the trail. Just beautiful time of the day, beautiful time of year. Wide open. Robins, you can hear them off in the distance. Ground is still pretty soft. Looking forward to discovering some of the activity that's in our vernal ponds. Those are the small bodies of water disconnected from creeks and ponds and other bodies. So they're they're just really big puddles, but large enough that they sustain themselves with literally just rainfall, a little bit of runoff. But what's unique about the vernal pond is that they are a sanctuary for the amphibians, right? So we've got 4 or 5 species of salamander that'll migrate en masse. Yeah, amazing when you can catch the salamander migration. And they're looking for these vernal ponds because there's no predation. All right, if they make their way to a lake, to a pond, where there are aquatic insects, minnows, small fish. Yeah, the egg masses and the small larvae, they don't last. So they're looking for these vernal ponds. And in our own yard, we've got such a wet spot. And this time of year, I'll take a rake and I'll sort of dig out or make clear the ditch that leads to it. And then, past couple of years anyway, been successful of rallying the family to come watch the salamanders make their way up along the ditches and across the lawn. Pretty neat stuff. Short-lived. Timing is everything, but it's special. I know it's there. It's coming. So there's little things I've learned by watching nature, by watching the frondants, which is, again, the opening of leaves and buds unfurl with the spring season. And the act of watching patterns in nature, birds, mostly plants though, that's phenology. Yeah, phenology, changes of seasons and the patterns. All right, we've become a little out of touch with it, but I live with this forest. Been traveling its trails for over a decade now anyway, and just notice things, keep track, compare year after year. And every season has its special opportunities, little keystone moments, if you will. And watching those first trilliums come up, noticing the first spring beauties, those first pollinating flowers that are going to come up for the forest, really important part. But that signals the arrival of pollinators, which is the arrival of all the other insects, which, right, we get used to it after a while, but man, if you're new to this area, if you're just visiting, it's the worst time of year. We give so much blood. But I'm enjoying these mornings, enjoying the couple weeks here in April, watching the forest come alive, listening to the forest come alive, smelling the forest coming alive, right? Really being present, really noticing, and starting to plan my own gardens. Yeah. You know, and I've got some saplings, yeah, that we're gonna try some fruiting trees and some fruiting shrubs this year. Looking forward to that. I'll do some transplanting. Every year I try and dig up 30, 40 coniferous trees, plant them around the yard. Beavers do their part in removing about half as many. So yeah, it's a constant exchange. But it all starts with going outside. Once you're outside, start to notice, keep track. It becomes a habit. It's not a bad one to have. Well, thanks for watching. Go outside. Bye.